All right. All right, guys. So we're going to be like any other live session. We're just going to go through a bunch of the major pairs. I'm going to cover about 6 or 7 here. Angela's going to cover another 6 or 7. And we're pretty much just going to show you guys what we're looking at for the rest of the week. And we're just going to talk about it in a good amount of detail. All right. So first thing we want to do is start off with DXY. This is just the dollar index. We don't trade this. We just analyze this to get a good idea of the overall sentiment for the US dollar. And it's a good idea to do this because the dollar makes up for 80% of all trade and it is considered the reserve currency of the world. So the market is directly influenced by US dollar movement. So it's good just to be aware and see what the trend is for this. Excuse me, for this index. Okay, so first thing we want to do is kind of identify the overall trend. We want to understand the overall sentiment, where most of the buying or selling pressure is. And right now clearly we're bearish, so mostly selling pressure. We can see that this is bearish on this time frame, right? Lower lows, lower highs, very, very steep price action is falling, moving through support levels. The most recent being this monthly zone here. So we've identified the trend. So let's go to the 4-hour and take a look at what's happening right down here.
Just to pause real quick. So guys, Nick's going through, we're gonna run through top-down analysis. For you guys that don't know what that is, we use monthly and weekly key levels, and then we'll take entries based on the lower time frames. We're looking at like the daily and the 4-hour time frame for market structure. So that's what Nick's kind of going through right now. And then when there's an opportunity to answer, that's when we'll jump down to like the 1 hour and 30 minutes. So we are trying to swing trade here, these positions for the most part. And then if there's some kind of like more immediate entries, which I'll go over in mine, and we'll drop down and like try to take a more intraday trade. So yeah, just continue.
All right. So yeah. That's essentially what we're doing. We're just doing a top-down approach, just breaking it down to this 4-hour now. So we recently saw, again, this huge break of this monthly support. So nice bearish leg, right? And then we were expecting, or we wanted to see structure form before the next, push to the downside. We did see a pullback. We did see structure form within this range. And then we actually broke out of this range to the downside, broke through major support at 90.75. And now we are clearly below this range. So we're at a new low. New 0% has been established. We drew our fibs. So from here, we could see 2 scenarios happen, right? Nothing here is saying to us that this is long. Obviously, this is very much bearish. We're only looking for this to continue down at the moment until we see 90.75 broken. So from here, these are the 2 potential ways this could play out. Either we're going to get a pullback. We've established support right now, and we'll see a pullback probably back about to the 61.8, right where this this bit of resistance is right here, right? So this was where this low was broken. This was kind of the real breaking point. So nice little confluence area right here. Okay. And then we're going to look for a reversal there, some sort of confirmed lower high. And then we're going to target lower down towards our -27 and a -61.8 fib levels. Okay, so that's one way this could play out. Or this thing hasn't found its low yet, and the momentum is just going to keep pushing it. So wait for the new low to be whoops, hold on, let me redraw this. So we just need to really wait for the true low to be formed, and then we'll start seeing a pullback. Then we could try and find an area of structure to form. All right, but until this happens, very much bearish, guys. Is a huge bearish leg. So we'll see how this plays out. Again, either the momentum is going to continue, we're going to keep seeing this slide off, or we've established support and now we're going to pull back, hopefully for some sort of lower high. All right, so that's DXY. Very interesting, large amount of volume. So that is something to be aware of for sure. All right, so first pair we want to go to now is AU. We're going to do the exact same thing from the daily time frame. Just want to understand the overall trend. So we can clearly see that this is very much bullish, right? Nice double bottom here off this monthly support. Huge rally all the way up to our weekly at 0.76. So at this point, we can see that this is in a very strong kind of bullish channel here. Definitely ascending, higher highs, higher lows. So let's go ahead and drop to the 4-hour and see what kind of trade scenarios we can identify at current price action. Okay, so very bullish. As we know, especially recently, pretty much straight up into this zone here. So this weekly zone. So currently we have about 3 touches around 0%, right? We clearly have resistance right around 0.75, 0.758 area, right around here. A lot of resistance, but we are getting higher lows. So price action is still very much bearish. This is just a little bit of consolidation, but the fact that we haven't seen a real sharp rejection from this area is a good sign. It shows that the bulls, that the buyers are very, very strong here. So let's go ahead and draw up some potential scenarios. What could happen, right? We did see structure form at 38.2. So that's a great sign, right? This right here. Price action pulled back through the MAs, gave us a morning star. MA crossed on a nice large volume bullish candle, retested, nice little higher low here, and now it's rallying again. So this honestly could just be the push to -27 right now. That's a possibility, right? Or
thing could just fucking tumble right now.
exactly. Or this is a huge area of resistance and it's not going to bust through this level, in which case we're going to look for a tumble down to 61.8. And again, as we remain above 61.8, we are bullish on this. So this is the last valid trade scenario that we would need to see to go long. Okay, if this zone breaks, 61.8 breaks, we're going to get a little more cautious. We're going to kind of hold off on long scenarios, wait for price action to show us something. And again, if it breaks this level and starts pushing lower and gives us some lower highs after it breaks support, we could see a transition start to take place there. In which case we'll start considering short opportunities. But again, as long as price action remains above the 61.8, very much bullish. And then we'll just be targeting higher towards 0.76 and negative fib levels. All right, so yeah, this thing is looking interesting. We just gotta wait on it. It's not really, you can't trade consolidation that well. You need to enter on some conviction. So we're gonna wait for it. So next pair we got is AJ. Very similar, as we know, AU and AJ pretty much line up very, very evenly. So let's go ahead and start on the daily again. Very bullish here, as we can see. Nice, strong ascending channel. Price action is currently at the top end of that towards a higher high, right near key resistance at 79 flat. All right, so very bullish. As we know, let's drop to the hour, identify some trade scenarios. Okay, so we are in the top half of this ascending channel. As we said, we recently broke through the kind of middle ground here at 76.5 and still resuming a very strong bullish trend. So at this point, we just want to stick to our classic rules, wait for structure to form, look for a higher low, enter on some strong bullish setups. And we want to do that off the 38.2 or the 61.8. And currently we do have price action resting at the 38.2. So this is actually looking like a bit of a flag. Let's take a look. See if this makes sense. Okay, close. It's got room to fall. It could definitely fall still. Right, if this is a true flag, we could see it fall to 61.8, right at 77.9. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is the preferred trade right here. Wait for this. Enter on some sort of, higher low on a break of the flag itself. And then target higher towards 79 flat, which lines up perfectly with our -27 fib level. So this would be a really nice trade. Honestly, this would be a good trade too if we saw a rejection up to 38.2. Just wait for a higher low on a break of the flag or some sort of quick retest. Pretty much the same
So for
entry.
you guys that don't know, flags are just continuational patterns. That's why Nick's drawn it's more likely that price will find support at one of these levels and then go to the upside. So that's why we're basically positioning for a long out of this, even though it's pulling back right now.
So this is the pull, and this is the flag that I just highlighted between these trend lines. So essentially, this is an impulse move. Price action is now taking a breather. It's pulling back to form structure, and now it's going to have another impulse. We're looking to capture that impulse and enter on conviction candle, which shows us that we had a transition in price action, which gives us a higher probability trade. And that entry would be around where this highlighted box is, somewhere here. Okay. So yeah, it's a textbook flag pattern. One of my favorites. I love trading it. You can get a lot of good setups just like this one by identifying this early. Okay, so that's AJ. Let's move on to UJ. What a move. So again, guys, for those of you that just didn't notice, I guess, UJ is very correlated to DXY. This is the US dollar index. We saw a huge drop in the US dollar. So naturally on UJ, we would see some sort of reaction as well, which we did. That's this huge drop here. Okay, so let's start on the daily with this and then work our way down to the 4-hour. So overall, very, very bearish. I mean, this thing, bearish on all time frames. UJ has just been steadily dropping, forming lower lows, lower highs. Currently, we can see we have a very strong bearish channel. Again, lower lows, lower highs. You know, we recently broke through a major support level at 1045, and now it looks like we're continuing another bearish leg. So let's go right to the 4-hour. We have established our sentiment here. We are clearly bearish. We're going to continue to look for shorts and see what this 4-hour time frame has for us. Excuse me. All right, so currently, right, we broke 1045 key level. Now we're testing as resistance, and we are getting a bit of a descending channel here, right? We're getting some lower lows, we're getting some lower highs. Rejection off this 200 EMA, not the steepest channel, but still a bearish channel nonetheless. So again, recently we had a pullback, rejection of 1045 and the 200 EMA. Then we got to push lower. We broke some minor levels, nice MA cross. Price action pushed to a low at 1035 area, pulled back through the MAs, then crossed on some bearish conviction. There was a nice entry opportunity in here to then enter on. But if you missed it, that's okay, because we do have two trade scenarios at the current point, right? So what we need to see now is structure to form. We just had a nice bearish leg. The next thing you want to see is, you know, a pullback and then a continuation. So this pullback, we want to see a pullback to 38.2 or 61.8, and then a push down towards our negative fib level around negative 27. Okay, so this is what it would look like. Let me just fix this up a little bit. Make this a little more clean. Boom. All right, cool. So this is essentially what we're looking for. Pullback, rejection off structure, and then we're going to enter on a lower high, you know, and some sort of bearish setups. So something like this, somewhere in here. Okay. Very, very bearish until, you know, honestly, I'm going to say bearish until I see price action get above this 200 EMA and I see a break of this lower high right here, close to a 104 flat. But even then, even if this broke, I wouldn't really be that confident in taking a long as we remain below 104.5. Okay, so only shorts right now. I mean, any lower high below 103.95, you could enter on if the setups are there, if the confirmations are there. So definitely looking short on UJ. Could be a nice move. We'll see how it plays out for the rest of this week. We'll see if this volume stays or starts to fade, because that's really going to determine if some of these moves are going to play out, is if this volume keeps up. All right, so that's UJ. Let's move on to EJ. Daily time frame to start. And this has been very, very bullish. We actually have a large flag pattern right here, right? Very, very bullish. Higher highs, higher lows. Key resistance at 126.5. And, you know, after this flag had formed and completed, we saw a rally right into this zone. So this is a monthly resistance level, right? So we want to drop down to the 4-hour and get a close look at this. We do have the overall sentiment in mind. It is very, very bullish. Clearly tons of bullish volume here. So let's go right to the 4-hour and see what kind of trade scenarios we could mark up. Okay, so we actually have another flag pattern here. Very, very clear. Here's the flag pull. Very strong rally. Then here is the pullback or the flag itself. And it looks like we came back to 38.2 and rejected it pretty hard. So this is a good sign. This is a, so again, a flag is a continuation pattern. We just formed structure to 38.2 at a 38.2 fib level. So from here, you know, we're a couple confirmations away from an entry. So ideally, we want to see a break of this flag. For this whole trade setup to make sense, you know, we could see this. Let's extend this a little bit. We could see a break and retest of this zone entirely, 126.5. Then we can start targeting higher towards negative fib levels like this negative 61.8. Let me just bring this over a little bit. Boom. Okay. So this would be ideal. Nice continuation pattern here. Completion of that. Look for a retest. You could honestly even enter on a quick retest, some sort of higher low on the resisting trend line here, this upper trend line. So that would be a nice entry. Again, it all depends on the confirmations. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, you gotta wait on it. Somewhere in there would be a good entry. But yeah, so this is really nice. So this trade becomes invalid if we see a pullback. So if this happens here, we're gonna wait and then we'll reanalyze, and then we'll come up with two other trade scenarios down here, closer to the 200 EMA, 124.75, which is key support, and our negative 61 fib level. So until this, breaks lower, we're gonna favor this long opportunity and wait for this break. All right, so that's EJ. Next, I'm gonna cover. Let's see. Let's do gold first. Daily time frame to start. Still very bearish here. Very bearish after Corona. As you guys can see, we had a huge rally. Then price action just started falling off, consolidating, falling off, consolidating, falling off, and so on and so on, until we found some support around 1800, which is also where our 200 EMA is. So let's go ahead and drop down on the 4 hour and get a closer look at that. We still can clearly see that this trend is still very bearish. So we're going to keep that in mind, drop to the 4 hour, and just get a closer look here. So let's see if we can find some trade scenarios. All right, so still very bearish on the daily. However, on the 4 hour here, we are looking bullish. We're getting some higher lows here. We established some support around 1826 right there. Okay, let me just adjust this a little bit more, just to be a little more accurate, clean it up. Okay. All right, cool. So 4 hours bullish, daily's bearish. Key resistance is actually right here at 1860 as well. All right, so kind of a bit of a range, rejection here, support here. EMA is getting crossed left and right. So, okay, so basically the way we want to play this is treat it like a range, right? If we're looking to go short, I'm looking for an MA cross, and I want to see a lower high below that, then start targeting lower, down towards 0%. That's ideally what I want to see to happen. I'm not interested in getting faked out. I don't want to hold onto a trade while it continues to range and hope it breaks out the way that I have the trade set up. It's just we're not gonna do that. We're gonna wait for the range to break, enter on a lower high, or in the opposite, if it breaks to the upside, look for a higher low, right? For a long opportunity, that is. So something like this. Okay. But for now, yeah, it's a clear range. Really just want to wait for something with a little more conviction. Not trying to jump the gun. Gotta play it safe and capture a nice gold trade. Okay. Lower high to go short, higher low to go long. Wait for a break of 1875 or wait for a break lower of 1826. Pretty straightforward. All right, so that's gold. I am going to do a little bonus one for you guys because why not? CAD JPY. A lot of movement on this recently. Let's go to the daily time frame to start. Overall bearish, right? So this is probably more of a weekly time frame here. This is a weekly bearish trend, very clear. However, on the daily trend here, we're bullish, right? We got to break out this lower high. We're getting some higher lows, a little bit of a daily trend here. So keep that in mind. However, it is daily time frame bullish, but we are ranging, right? Key resistance right around this 82 monthly zone. We've rejected multiple times. And then also this daily zone here down at 78.5, holding for quite a while. Tested and rejected multiple times. Let's just go ahead and bring some of this over for a second. I want to see. Get rid of that for now. Whoops. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so we're going to drop to the 4 hour and get a closer look at price action here. Again, we are at key resistance, so how price action reacts here is pretty important. Either it's going to break or reject, right? So right now, we actually are getting a break. I was actually pegging this to go long here. I was seeing some higher lows. I did actually have a long opportunity in play. It didn't work out clearly. So let's just extend this over. So now we are getting a break of a higher low. So this is like a 4 hour break. Okay, so let's go ahead and mark this. This is a 4 hour break of structure. if we get a lower high. Okay, so from here, you can get rid of these fibs for now. Draw them the opposite way. Like this could be a head and shoulders too with a slanted neckline almost. So let's go ahead and just keep analyzing here. Okay, so we got a massive break of a higher low. Draw these fibs in, high to low, and now price action is pulling back. Okay, just this is a bonus. I'm actually going to drop to the 1 hour here just because. Okay, bring this back over. Make some adjustments as you drop time frames here, just slightly. Okay, very good. 4 hour break. All right, good. So from here, we're looking to short, right? We just had a major break. We're looking to confirm this push through a lower high that we can then enter on. So right now, we're looking for this. This is our entry right here. Let these MAs catch up. I want to see some pullback through the MAs, rejection after we see structure formation at 38.2. Good confluence area as the 200 EMA is here, and this zone, 4 hour zone, is there as well. Entry would be something like this, somewhere in here. Okay. And then we can jump up time frames and kind of make sense of our targets. Okay, I honestly want to target down towards probably my final target near this 200 EMA, somewhere between this negative 61.8 and negative 27 fib level. So that looks good to me. And of course, you'll manage it, play it as things, as the trade progresses, as price action forms. So for starters, this would be a really good trade. This is like a premium analysis. So this is like a bonus for you guys. Just a 1 hour, damn close to entry. Just need to see a few more confirmations than we're in. And this is what the trade would look like, essentially. Boom. Boom. Okay, well over 2 to 1. Good looking trade. About 20 pips to get just over 55. 2.75 risk to reward. Somewhere thereabout. So good trade. Looking pretty good so far. We'll be stalking this one and waiting for these confirmations to play out. Again, this could even pull back a little bit higher. Maybe even to the 61.8. Test this little broken higher low here on this 1 hour. We'll see. We will see. Wait for the confirmations though. All right. So quick recap. I covered DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, CAD JPY, and gold. All right, so I'm going to pass it off to Angelo. He's going to cover some other majors and some other crosses for you guys.
So if you guys want to get in, we're going to do a giveaway today. As always for the Wednesday sessions, if you guys want to get in, just put your Discord name in the chat and we'll get you guys entered in on that. I'm going to get started with EU, but we're going to look at DXY just one more time. So DXY is all the way at this low right now. We pushed this week. Going into this week, if you look back at our analysis that we posted, we had this doji candle at the bottom of this little push right here, and then we were expecting potentially some sort of reversal. Considering how overextended we are, we gapped up, and now we're pushing down again. So let's go down to the daily. We're just below the moving averages. So daily time frame, we pushed up, crept up, very weak, and then we had this bearish engulfing, and from there we've just been continuing to go lower. Just bring this up. So yeah, make sure you guys put in the chat your name for the giveaway. So yesterday closed very bearish. Had this a wick before this. So again, weekly time frame bearish, daily time frame bearish, 4 hour bearish as well. I have this level marked right here. This is our most recent 4 hour level. If I were to bring on our fibs from this high to this low, we could see here this is a good level that it formed. It pulled back to 38.2 and then found rejection there, and it started to fall off from there. Had this little pullback. You could also see the moving averages cross to be bullish, then they cross to be bearish. So we're riding these moving averages as long as we're below, really on the 4 hour time frame. at the least, as long as we're below these moving averages, we should continue to look for sell positions. Right now, we're starting to pull back a bit, but down to the 1 hour, we're just at a low. So guys, we only want to enter on lower highs. We only want to enter on areas like this. This is a lower high. This area is a lower high. And then this area is a lower high. So we only want to enter on price action up here. We don't want to enter down here. We don't want to enter down here. We don't want to enter down here. We certainly don't want to enter right now. So all we need to wait for is a pullback. And we need it to a level that has some confirmation. So right here is this previous resistance level, our previous support level. Now it's resistance. So if we get a pullback around this area, this is where we're going to be looking for this thing to reject and to go short again. As you can see, we have the 200-day here. So if this ends up breaking this, the next confirmation would be that 200-day as it starts to come into play. And if we were to bring on the fibs as well, right here, we could see this one lines up with 38.2, and then this is going to line up either with 618 or a little bit higher, depending where those moving averages come in. So, you know, DXY, until we have at least a break of structure on the 1 hour, this thing has just been bearish all the way, just going crazy. So we're going to continue with that. So on to EU. Let's bump up to the daily. Bump all the way up to the weekly. So starting on the weekly time frame, we're sort of in like no man's land right now. We're between our monthly and weekly levels. We had been fucking around over at this weekly level, and then we had this bullish engulfing, and this thing just took off. So we're bullish on the weekly, daily time frame. Obviously, very bullish. Pretty much after this bullish engulfing candle, this thing continued to head higher, and then onto the 4 hour. Again, we could use this time frame really for our structure. We're going to mark from this level to this high right here. We had that 38.2 pullback. So this was that higher low that formed. And then the moving averages crossed back to be bullish. And then this was all buying opportunities, all in here. I was expecting actually a little bit of a reversal off of this area. And then this candle formed, this large wick, and price never failed to break 1.21230. So this level is what held, and then we just ended up going higher. So we pushed up. For me personally, like it would be likely to see this thing push all the way up into this monthly level, this like key level that's up here. But we'll see. It's testing on the 4 hour. We just broke above this resistance. I'm going to line this off right here. I'll take this one away. So we just broke above this level. If this 4 hour candle closes below here, then this is just a tested area. This hasn't broken anything. If this 4 hour candle holds, then it's going to be it's going to be likely that we'll continue to get some buys. So we're going to monitor this. We'll see how this 4 hour candle closes today and pretty much make our decision based on that. So no immediate entries right now on EU. I'm just going to wait on the 4 hour and see what happens. So I'm going to move this one up to red. Let's go over to NU. This is another one. So let's take a look on the higher time frame, weekly. All right, so this thing just looks freaking crazy right now. We're shooting up. We're in no man's land. And coming into the week, we had this bullish candle, a little bit of a wick at the top here. Like to me, it looks as though we're starting to slow up. We're starting to slow up at the top here. We're losing volume to the upside on the daily. As you can see here, we had this pullback. Then the buys like step back in, maintain the moving averages. And now we're just fucking about right at this resistance level. And this is all, to me, just a lot of indecision, a lot of like signs of reversal to the 4 hour again. So when we're at highs like this, guys, it's the best thing to really do is to try to identify some sort of pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to mark down something here. It's not the prettiest in the world, but this thing's definitely getting squeezed. Price is price is making higher lows here, but these highs are not, these highs don't have a lot of volume. These highs aren't really aggressively moving to a new high. And as we can see on this 4 hour, this thing's actually forming a bearish engulfing candle right here. So I'm basically playing this level right now. As long as we hold below this level, I'm just going to highlight this candle right here. So we have two confirmations here, or three. We have this rising wedge, we have this resistance level, and then we have this bearish engulfing. And then as we break this down to a lower time frame, like the 30-minute, this is where we want to see, is this bearish engulfing actually breaking anything? And as I come down to this 30-minute time frame, I'm just going to mark this off. So we have this high or low, and we push all the way up to this high. So this is our previous high or low right here. This is just a retracement. So we're just breaking down that 4 hour candle. This is just a retracement. We need to get all the way below this level before I personally start to look for short opportunities. And if we bump back up to the 4 hour, that'll mean that we'll actually get a nice cross the moving averages as well. So that's just going to be your most high probable trade with this one. If this 4 hour candle fails to close below here, then we should certainly start to look for buy opportunities. And this is about to close in 25 minutes. So the volume is definitely going to be there right now. We're going to see how this thing shakes out really soon. So yeah, that's NU. I'll drop that one in the analysis for the members. Let's go to UCAD. This thing's getting some volume kicking in right now. So coming into the week with the analysis that we dropped, we were just overall very bearish with this one. As we could see, moving averages extremely bearish. Weekly time frame. Weekly time frame, we're bearish. You know, moving averages are pointing down. We're below the 200-day. But going into the week, look at this doji. So this doji tells me that this level held with buyers. This level held. There's indecision here, potential reversal. We're not at the monthly level, so we're like kind of just in the middle of these two levels right now. But this is still, you know, the market's slowing up right now. Coming down to the daily, we can further see that breakdown of what that doji candle actually was. Price came up, price came down, price came up, it closed. You know, and then we started the new week right here with this candle, started the new week. So price came up, came down, then closed. So let's break that down even further to the 4 hour. All right, so 4 hour time frame. Going into the week, we were looking to short. We opened right here. I was looking to come back into this level, short to the downside. This thing played out pretty well, and it's because the structure here is on every time frame is bearish. Weekly is bearish, daily is bearish, 4 hours bearish. So price opened. I'm gonna bump up to the 4 hour or the 1 hour. So on this 1 hour time frame, let's just look at structure. We had push to this low, no really pullback here, push to this low, then we started to get lower highs. So we had a lower high here, failed to break lower, retest the lower high, failed to break lower, retest the lower high, failed to break lower. As long as this 1 hour level was being maintained, this thing was still bearish. Then we pushed to a new low, pulled back, and then the week ended. So there was no trade opportunity there at the end of last week. So this week we were looking, you know, to get it on an entry, and we weren't trying to enter on like something like this. I was waiting for another retest of this level. If you could see, this is where we were. So I wasn't trying to just enter now. I could have, and you put stops just above this wick. But it's better to just wait for like the actual entry. And then we had something like this, where we came up, we retested that level. Kind of the first entry would have been just this bearish engulfing right here at the level. And then if you want to be more conservative, you wait for the moving average to actually cross, which it does right here, I believe. Yeah, so it starts to cross like right there. So this would have been your safest entry on this one. And then you would just put this stop above that level, or even more aggressively like right here. And then this thing pushed to the downside, a nice 2-to-1 right there. And then at this point now, you hit a new low. So we're going to delete that. You hit a new low point. You either want to maintain this new trend with your stops at break even or stops at 38.2, trying to capture as much profit as possible. And then as it's pulling back, like it is right now, let's line this up. So as it's pulling back, it's safe to say that this right here is pretty much our 1 hour resistance. This is our 1 hour structure. As long as we are below this level, we can comfortably look for shorts in line with the whole entire trend. If we do break above here and really above the 200-day, then we're going to start to look for that first higher low and long opportunities. And we could also line up, if we wanted to, like a little trend line in here, and we could see this trend is very bearish. If it breaks this trend line, breaks this area, then it will be a good opportunity to start buying here. So that's UCAD. I'm going to leave that one as my watch list for today. This one's a trade that could potentially play out during the day today. As we could see with NU, things continuing to dump lower here. Let's go over now to USEF. So this was the same thing. USEF was very similar to UCAD, was looking for that short earlier in the week, ended up playing out really well for us. Let's go to the daily. Let's just start on the daily time frame and just break down how do we get to like an entry? How do we get all the way down to an entry? So daily time frame coming into the week, or weekly time frame, obviously very bearish, but we're at this low. So we have this doji candle to start the week. This like spinning top, because there is a little bit of a body here. So a doji is when there's no body. A spinning top is when there's like little volume. So there's a body of the candle and there's two wicks to either side. As you can see here, we're pushing lower despite getting that resistance to end last week. So when did this week start? Right here. So last week, fucked around, pushed lower, ended up closing at the same level. This week, we're still below the moving averages on the daily. So this time frame, all this time frame tells me right now, guys, is that we're at a low point. We're at a low point. You know, that's not where we want to swing an entry. You know, we don't want to enter here, at least on this daily. So I need to break this down further. Down to the 4 hour. This one's a little better. We had this lower high here, pushed all the way down without making any sort of lower high until we pulled back to this level. So we had this pullback, moving averages crossed right here. So if we were to go back right here, at this point, when price pulled back and then formed this doji, that's where we're looking for a short, because this is a lower high on the 4 hours. So this is like a nice short opportunity. And if we go all the way down to the 1 hour, we can also see that 1 hour structure, it's like lining up perfectly with the 4 hour. So we came up, we formed another lower high. So this then becomes, I'll move this over. This now becomes our most recent 1 hour structure. We're at this low, so we're not entering right now. We're waiting to enter on a pullback. So this thing's gonna pull back a little bit more and push down. So pretty much if we didn't enter on this entry over here, this was like the best entry going into at the beginning of this week. And I don't know personally if I even would have took this, I would have had to put stops, throw them like above this level. So it wouldn't have been terrible, but we had to cross the moving averages, bearish and variations here. I don't want to enter on something like this. A lot of volume. This isn't a bearish engulfing or any sort of bearish variation. And then we had like this little pullback where price came up through the moving average. And then we closed below right there. And then we dumped. You know, this would have been a very aggressive entry. This is kind of like our next lower high right here. And we would have had to put stops like really right above here. So that could have been a potential entry right there. And then this thing pulled back again and then formed this. So we have this bearish engulfing that covers the wick. But again, this isn't the cleanest like bearish engulfing candle for me. I'm trying to enter on very clearly like a evening star, a bearish engulfing, like a better bearish variation here. And then let's see where we are now. So we ended up pushing lower. So let's take this off. Let's take this off. Let's take this off. So we can stay on this 1 hour time frame because we know the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, is all just bearish as fuck. I'm going to move this to right here. So this is our play on USEF as this thing pulls back. As long as we are below this 1 hour level, if we get something similar, I'm going to use this bars pattern tool. If we get something similar to this, then we're going to short. So it's going to come up, reject, short. So this is USEF, looking to short this again. If we get above this level, if we bump back up to the 4 hour, we can see how that changes things for us. 4 hour will then be bullish. In regards to the moving averages, it'll cross. And then daily time frame, this is when the daily time frame, it'll start to move like within these moving averages. It'll start to actually break this first moving average as resistance. So right now we could just watch this on the 1 hour. Entry coming up on this one potentially. So we're going to keep that one on the watch list. Let's go over now to GU, the mother of all pairs here. Let's bump up to the weekly, all the way up to the monthly. Let's take this off. Let's take this off. All right, so GU has been interesting. We've been maintaining this level over and over again, 1, 2, 3 times. We rejected this level. Now at this point, we're pushing a little bit higher. Going into the week, this weekly, last week was this bearish engulfing candle. And then as you can see now, this thing just gapped up and pushed much higher. So we need to see whether, like, how this closes, mainly on the daily, or mainly, let's bump down to the daily. Yeah, so this daily time frame, we had the supply zone. We were maintaining it really well. And now we're just pushing up. We have this huge bullish engulfing. I had all this marked up. I'm just going to take this off for now. This is not as relevant. We had this huge bullish engulfing that sent us above the supply zone. And now we need to see how this closes. This daily, these next 2 daily candles on GU is going to be kind of the indicator of where this thing is to come. Look at the 4 hour. It's about to close at the top here with a doji. So yeah, considering if this thing closes like it looks right now, we could see this thing pop back into this zone all the way down here. But this thing is kind of tricky right now. It's certainly not near an entry. It's definitely just kind of near, like, it's at a high right now, and there's nothing that we're gonna do at the moment. If anything, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to catch like short opportunities at the top here. I'm just gonna put this 4 hour supply zone up here. I drew it from the body of this bullish candle, and then the following bearish candle, we put at the body of this candle. So actually the wick of the bullish candle, body of the bearish candle, drag it across. We need to see if this thing comes back into this zone. If this thing holds above here on the 4 hour, we potentially might want to start buying this into all the way up. Like, we have a lot of room up here to push up. But GBP with the Brexit news and everything is fairly weak. It's fairly weak right now. And the dollar, like, I personally think the dollar is going to be stronger than this. So we'll see on the 4 hour how this thing closes. We have 12 minutes left. No entries really on GU. I'm just going to leave this at the bottom. And then last but not least, I'm going to go into GJ. So GJ is pushing right now. Same with GU. But let's look at the overall picture here. Let's bump up to the weekly time frame. Let's bump up even so to the monthly. So monthly time frame, guys, we're still just very much bearish. Very much bearish. We're forming this lower high, came down, pushed back up, another lower high. So as long as we're sort of below this monthly level, this resistance level, we're overall very bearish. Again, on the weekly, same thing. Zoom out. If you have, if you're uncertain about what the hell is going on, just zoom out on the freaking chart. Here we can see 200 day, we're still below there. We've been making consistent lower highs over and over and over again. And we're about to retest now this level right here. So this level is going to be really the key indication for us. We're coming back into a nice confluence zone to short GJ. So this is all the way up in the weekly. We haven't even gone down to the lower time frame yet. As I go down to the daily, we can see here, okay, daily is bullish. Daily broke resistance, found support. Now we're pushing higher. But once we come into this zone, we have all these wicks here still. You know, this thing could certainly wick again. Once we come into this zone, that's when we're going to look for a very aggressive sell opportunity. As we're still like in this area right now, I'm going to come down to the 4 hour. And this is perfect. So the 4 hour, as we can see here, I'm going to delete this. All right, so 4 hour time frame broke support right here on this candle. Then we gapped up to start the week. And now we're all the way up at this high again. So I'm looking to short, realistically, we're looking to short this thing right out of this zone. Sells out of this zone, looking for this thing to drop to the downside. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So everything I went over today, I'm gonna bump GJ up. This is still a higher time frame, so we're gonna wait on the 4 hour and see how this plays out. So everything I went over today was GJ, UCAD, NU, USEF, EU, GU. UCAD and USEF are really the closest to entry, and NU as well. This thing's pushing lower, so yeah, and NU as well. So like Nick said, we're going to drop the analysis for everyone in the actual membership inside of the course. So I'm going to go here, and we're going to drop the analysis into the premium analysis and then also the signals as they come out. The main thing we're focused on right now, guys, is the trade copier. I'm going to post some updates for that today. And your camera's on. Make sure you drop your Discord name in the chat for the giveaway. This was another live trading session. It's December 16th, so it's going to be low volume next week, guys. The next 2 weeks with the holiday and everything, it's definitely going to be a little bit different with the U.S. kind of banks going on the holidays and everything. So just be wary of that. And if you guys have any questions about our account management services, signals, the full course membership, you know, look out. We'll put out some updates on that. It's the 16th today. So we'll discuss, you know, potentially some sort of holiday discount or something for the membership. But, you know, 2020 is coming to an end very soon, you know, and this past year, you were either doing a lot or you were doing a little, you know, so I know everyone makes New Year's resolutions and like all this stuff, but, you know, try to start thinking now, guys, day to day, what you want to do to change, you know, to make a difference next year. Don't just make a resolution on January 1st and then be a quitter, you know, after whatever. Just legitimately think what you could do to improve everything you're doing. I think Brian's in this call. Well, recently he's been doing like a lot of work on the FTMO challenge and stuff, and he's taken time now to just back test. And the point is, like, you got to know when it's time to test and when it's time to like turn it up a notch and when it's time to like put in the work. And if right now you're putting in no work, then that's a whole other issue. And I suggest maybe heading over to the psychology section of the Discord and maybe taking a reading into what's going on there. But no, I mean, we want you guys to, whether you're beginners just starting out or you're at a more advanced level, to just realize that like the work never ends. Like the results are going to come from doing the work. So just put in the work and you guys will be completely okay. I swear.
Yep. It's great. Honestly, it's great advice. It really is. It's true. You get out what you put in. That's with anything. You know?
Oh, yeah. So, damn, somebody's freaking screen. They got the charts on there. All right, so we're gonna end the live session now. I'm gonna upload this to YouTube following, as always, and then the next session will be on Sunday. We'll do our Sunday Market Blitz again. And if you guys don't know, all of our analysis is posted in this analysis tab and in Telegram as well. In the beginning of the week, we post all of our higher time frame analysis, and then we obviously send some updates during the week in the chat, and we'll follow up. I'll follow up today with how USEF and UCAD plays out, and we'll try to get the signal out to the people that are in the actual paid group. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Peace out.